Good morning. I'm attorney Alexis Hart McDowell, and today we're going to be speaking about transferring property outside of probate. That is so important for so many families, especially after COVID, because there's been a lot of loss. And people are trying to make sure that legacies are continued. Property is transferred down from generation to generation. And they just need to do it outside of probate to avoid the cost, the expense, and the time associated with probate. So, every Monday in June, I am going to be discussing ways to transfer property outside of probate, which is going to be more effective, more time efficient, and more less costly than the probate option. So today we're going to talk about deed transfers. This is by far the most popular way to transfer property outside of probate. Now let's talk about what is a deed transfer. A deed transfer is a way of transferring the property when you're not selling it per se, and when you're not trying to go through the probate process and get an administrator. All right, to transfer the property or a court order to transfer the property. It is a simple way to allow two parties to exchange a piece of real property. Okay. And so, why do you need it? First and foremost, as I just said, you want to use a deed transfer to avoid probate in the case of death, right? We really only deal with probate when someone has passed away and they have not properly indicated how they want their estate handled. So, why you need it? Number one, to avoid probate. Number two, to ensure the property goes to who you want it to go to. This is especially important if you are still alive and you want to transfer your property. It's very important in this case because if you pass away without a will, the state has laws, intestate laws, that determine where that property goes, who is an heir, and who is going to receive that property. Well, you may not like what the state says. You may not like the order that the state puts that in. And you may say, hey, no, I don't want it to go to my heirs, my children. I really want it to go to my niece, my nephew, my cousin, whatever the case may be. And you can do that. You can overcome that challenge in the law by doing a deed transfer while you're alive. Okay. And you can keep your name on the deed transfer and just add the other person and then upon your passing, they would own it. We want to make sure there's the right language in there to make that happen. The other reason why you may want to use a deed transfer is to add or remove someone's name from your deed. I've dealt with several clients, and through the years, family dynamics have changed, and relationships and lifestyles have changed. And someone may want to add someone to their deed or remove someone from their deed. And you can do that outside of probate with a deed transfer. Okay. And then lastly, a deed transfer comes in handy after death. As I mentioned, we want to avoid probate, whether you have a will or not. And sometimes, whether or not you have a will, you can do this deed transfer after death because Illinois law allows, as I mentioned, states who is going to be an heir and who is entitled to that property. And after that is determined under the law, then we can do a deed transfer outside of probate and transfer it to that person. Okay. There's some additional information that has to be done with that. And I will talk about that next Monday at 11 a.m. right here. And that's called an affidavit of heirship. Okay. Now, some of the benefits of a deed transfer. One, of course, as I just mentioned, we get to transfer it outside of probate. We don't have to go through that long process. It's a shorter time period is another benefit, right? Way less expensive than probate is another benefit of doing a deed transfer. So definitely reach out and speak with me, schedule an appointment, schedule a consultation if you or your family may be in need of a deed transfer. Sometimes these things are best worked out prior to someone's passing so that it can be done the way that they want it to be done. And it doesn't even have to be that death is looming. You could say, hey, you know what? I'm in a blended family. I have some other situations going on, and I really want this property left to my child, or I want this property left to a particular family member or even a friend. So, this deed transfers work in death and while living. So definitely use this to your advantage. Reach out to me, schedule a consultation so that we can talk about what your family's needs and desires are, and then we can put the right legal plan in place for you all. Possibly considering a deed transfer. Okay. There's so many other more cost effective and time efficient ways to avoid probate. And deed transfer is just one of them. So we want to make sure we're using the right legal tool to help you and your family and your situation. Okay. So thank you for joining me this morning. Sign up at enterpriseesquire.com/events to get additional reminders for next Monday at 11. And then finally concluding the final Monday in June at 11 a.m. as well. Okay. Thank you so much. You can reach out to me and schedule your consult at enterpriseesquire.com/calendar. Thank you and have a great day. And please be sure to share this information with someone else. Take care.